everyone, and welcome to the third part of this exciting tutorial. Today we are going to look at how to create something like this. Okay, so I'm back in my Adobe Animate software, and we are about to start a new project. So to do that, I select standard, leave it on the frame rate as 30 and action script 3.0, then click create. So we have our blank interface, our blank stage, onto which we are going to type our word. So first we pick the type tool, change the fill to red, the size 100 is okay, Myriad Pro font, bold, and then I start typing Luna. Pick my selection tool, go to align, and let's align it to the center of the stage. Make sure align to stage is selected, and then we align it to the center of the stage. Now the first thing we need to do is to break apart as usual. If you don't understand what break apart is, you can watch the previous video in which I explained what it means. But actually what it does, it makes the animation of your text smoother, so it's necessary to break apart your text. So we go to modify, or you can right click and select break apart. So what it does initially is separates your text into individual letters. So you need to break apart again. So right click again, break apart again. So now it's fully done. Next, we need to ensure that each letter is on its own layer, so that when we are animating it separately, there will be no difficulties. So to do that, we right click the layer, or select everything like this, right click, and then you look for distribute to layers, or Ctrl Shift and D, distribute to layers. See what happens to the layers panel. It's distributed into layer 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now, to make things easier, we need to rename the layers. So what we need to do is to identify each one. So I can switch off the I of each just to know which one is which. So this is L. So double click, rename L. This one is obviously the U, so double click, change this to U. So I can double click this, change this to N, and then the last one is the A, double click, change this to A. So Animate creates an extra layer which is not necessary, so we can delete that one. So we have it down here, L-U-N-A, Luna. Next, we need to create a motion tween for each and every letter, so that we can go ahead with the animation. So to insert a motion tween, we need to insert a motion tween for each letter. So starting with the L, I go to insert, I have to click on the keyframe that it has been created here first, this keyframe. Then I go to insert, create motion tween. So instantly it creates a motion tween of 1 second. Do the same for U. motion tween. We do the same for N, and then for A. Now with our playhead at the end on the 1 second mark, hold down shift whilst you select all the layers and use this button to insert a keyframe. That's if you are using the latest versions of Animate, you can use this. So we've created a keyframe from the beginning to the end, but for now there's no animation, so nothing happening yet. So we are going to begin by animating each letter individually. So let's begin with the A, or let's begin with the L. So with your L selected, let's go to the beginning, bring the playhead to the beginning, select the keyframe that is there, and let's go to the transform tool, the transform panel, and ensure that this is the first line. This first line represents the scale, the size, and this is for rotation, and this is for 3D rotation. So we're going to deal with the scale, ensure that this constraint is locked like this, and then in here I'm going to type 800. So that increases the size of the L. Next, I'm going to rotate it a bit, so say -90. So this is how it's going to begin, and this is how it ends. So we have this smooth transition this way. Now, still selecting the first keyframe, I click on the L once, come to the properties panel, then look for color effects, drop down, select alpha, and reduce the alpha to 0. Now drag your playhead to the 1 second mark. Now click on the blue area which should have represented the L. Come down here again and drag the alpha to 100. So we are going to have this fading effect. I'm going to repeat the process for all the letters. (800), rotation -90. Click on it once, make sure this is selected. Change the alpha to 0. Drag the playhead forward, click on the last, bring it up to 100. And then go to the first layer again. The first keyframe of N, transform tool, change the scale to 800, the rotation to -90. So with our N, we repeat the process. We already have resized it. We need to change the alpha. To 0. Now drag your playhead to the last frame, click on the blue, then raise the alpha to 100. Now with the last letter, transform 800, rotation 90, and click on it whilst we change the alpha to 0. Can go to object, change the alpha to 0, and so it's already changed. Drag the playhead to the 1 second mark, click on the blue outer line and change the alpha to 100. So we have this short animation. But it seems the baseline here is not aligned. So to align everything, select everything, go to our align, make sure this is not ticked, take it off, and then select align vertical center. So it's aligned now. It's taken quite a while. It's 1 second long, so I need to reduce the time. Let's reduce the time of the animation. So we select all layers, hold shift and click for all. Bring the playhead to the beginning, hold shift, click all. Now when you bring your arrow here, you see this double arrow. Click, hold and drag to your left till you get like 10 frames. Or let's make it 15 frames. I think 15 frames is okay. So now we have 15 frames for each letter to appear. And now let's deal with how the letters are going to be arranged individually. So for the L, we are not going to move that. So let's come to the U. We need to move the U a little bit forward. So we are going to move the U like 10 or 15 frames forward. So when you see the small box beneath your cursor, you click and drag till you get to 15, or let's say to 10. Yeah, I think 15 is okay, like this. Do the same thing, select this layer and drag this one way forward. Select the last layer, like this. So we're going to have something like this. Nice, but you realize that only the A remains standing at the end, so we need to ensure that all the others are also showing. So to do that, I'm going to select the last frame where the A appears, hold shift whilst I select everything like this, and then I click on my keyframe so that I have everything showing. So we play this back. So this is how it goes. Next, let's look at how to change the background color and change the text color. So to do that, we are going to add another layer like this. Click and drag the layer to the bottom. As soon as you create the layer, an empty keyframe or a blank keyframe is created here. So when I bring my playhead there, I can now go to the shape tool, rectangle tool, and change the fill color to yellow, and then I draw across. So as soon as I do that, realize that the keyframe, the blank keyframe down here is now filled with yellow. So next, since we are going to change the color of the background, I'm going to insert a motion tween, and at this point I still want to maintain the yellow, so all I do is click to create a keyframe. I'm going to go to the 3-second mark, hold shift, click on the background and click so that I select everything and still insert a keyframe. So it means at this point, at the point of 3 seconds, I still want my background to be yellow. I'm going to play this back. Let me add a loop so that the playback can be repeated. Nice. So next is changing the font color. So we're going to do that on the 4-second mark. Let me increase the size of the timeline so that we can see the 4 seconds well. And I'm going to select excluding the background just for the text. I'm going to insert keyframes again. You realize that at that point we didn't add the background, so it's turned out to be white. But we're going to deal with only the text. So starting with L, I'm going to go into Object. Make sure you have a selection tool selected. And from Alpha, now I'm going to change the tint. I'm going to change the tint to white. I'm going to do the same thing for U. Select it. Change the tint, which represents the color, to white. Repeat the process for N. And then repeat the process lastly for A. Now for the background, I'm going to insert a keyframe. And for that as well, I'm going to change the tint to black. So let's play this back. Okay. So we want the animation to stay a little while just after it's completed. So I'm going to select all layers once again on the 5-second mark. Let me increase shift. And I'm going to say insert keyframe. So let's test what we have so far. So I think we are done with the animation. So first what we did was we broke apart the layers of the text into individual layers. Then we dealt with the rotation, the scale, and the scale of the letters. Then we changed the time in which they all appear in the animation. We added a background and changed the color over time. And I think that is that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Thank you.